So 40 days in Nepal is coming to a close on a very rainy monsoonal day here in Boudanath. I'm looking directly at the top of the stupa and a statue of Guru Rinpoche, Guru Padmasambhava from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. It's an incense burner. As far as I'm aware, typical Nuwari brickwork. Very nicely done. This is a very beautiful little garden area. You got a number of votive stupas, chortens down there. Let me see. Yeah, 8 stupas. So anyway, I just wanted to briefly talk about during these 40 days in Nepal, I came here for an important reason, and actually a few reasons, and some of it fell through, some of it came together very nicely. I'm very thankful. You know, this isn't the time of year to go trekking, and that wasn't why I came here. But the purposes were served, very well served. I'm very, very thankful for this time here. Some things that I had intended to do on this last day, but funds were a bit short and time was a bit short and the weather was not particularly ideal, but I'm very interested in comparative religion, and so I had intended in the last few days to go to a number of places in and around the Kathmandu Valley associated with various traditions. So I wanted to do videos about the 84 Mahasiddhas, and there are caves at near Pashtupadinath, my apologies, temple complex. It's a Shaivite complex, but it has caves associated with gurus Tilopa and Naropa, who are very important within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition and within the Mahasiddha tradition. And the Mahasiddha tradition is shared between tantric practitioners of the Shaivite tradition and the Buddhist tantric tradition, which have a number of overlaps, including the use of the trident that you see there on Guru Padmasambhava. And so these caves were places of initiation and meditation and enlightenment. So I was hoping to go there and do some videos on those particular gurus in the Tibetan tradition, and so videos on Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, on the Kagyupa tradition, on the 84 Mahasiddhas, and also within the Shaivite temple complex near the Burning Ghats. There's also a temple to Guru Goraknath, who had started out within the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, but later became a Shaivite tantric practitioner. So I was hoping to do a video on him. So there were a number of things I'd hoped to do, and also not far from Kathmandu, out in the valley, you will find there's a holy mountain area. I believe it's called Parfing or Parping. I'm not particularly sure, because like I'm reading it phonetically in English and the PH could be an F, just like lapping and laughing. I've seen it pronounced both ways, so I'm not sure. Perhaps you can tell me. But that site is associated with the enlightenment of this Guru Padmasambhava. Now I'm trying to understand the connection between a rapid enlightenment tradition and sorcery, and like I said in another video, I'm very wary of sorcery and magical traditions, and there are many things that people don't consider magic, like, so for instance, so like a lot of, like in the Buddhist tradition, the Hindu tradition, the Islamic tradition, they all believe in the evil eye, and they have things, various mantras or prayers to ward off the evil eye, to ward against evil. Like, I feel like to study Islam, I better need to understand magic, because a lot of people are involved in magical practices, and they do things in a very magical manner, and it's very confusing to me, because I was not raised within a magical tradition whatsoever, and I'm quite wary of these type of things. But on an academic level and on a spiritual level, I'm seeking to understand these phenomena. so that I can better assess and better discern what is truth versus what is falsity. And I know that some of the Muslim viewers might be like, what do you mean that Islam is being practiced as a magical tradition by many people? But it has to do with repetition of certain prayers and adhkar and dhikr and the use of earth and water and manipulation of matter through vibratics. Like you could say there are positives, there are negatives. So I'll do a video, a more well-researched video on these topics in the future, and also from a comparative perspective. And that's part of the reason that I'm here, is to connect with ancient traditions, and so that I can better assess comparatively and begin deeper levels of comparative study. Like taking a look at various traditions within the Islamic, Christian, and Buddhist context, all of which are world religions, and then some of the older world religions, such as the Manichaean tradition, and then ethno religions, aspects of Brahmanic Hinduism, Vedic Hinduism, Judaism, etc. So. And then to compare, ethical traditions like the Confucian tradition with that which is present within, say, the monotheistic traditions, many of which, many monotheists, they consider themselves to be ethical and ethical par excellence. And I think that that's not necessarily true. It's like they have moral traditions, but not necessarily ethical mastery or ethical refinement. So I'm seeking to better understand how to, what genuine ethics are. So anyway, I'll go ahead and draw this to a close, but this 40 days here of taking a walk, visiting ancient sites of various traditions, eating a number of cuisines, just being back in South Asia, which I love South Asia very much, and I wish only the best for the people of South Asia, regardless of religion, regardless of background, because you're such an important part of humanity. And may we find ways to make peace and rectify situations that have long been in a broken and toxic state. So there's so much to learn, so much to study, so little time. We're clearly in a time of disaster and danger. So we need to better understand these things as much as we can. So if you notice, this is a temple ground, and so we got the giant incense burner and people putting offerings into there, a number of different types of offerings, up at the shrine. So at the Boudanath Stupa, we can see, grab my umbrella, the Boudanath Stupa, we see some marigolds left, some different types. It looks like some flowers. Over at the main shrine, I'll go ahead and walk around here so you can see. This is Manjusri, and he's got a marigold, someone left, and it looks like some rice. And I really don't understand the offerings. I'm kind of seeking to better understand that, because it doesn't really make sense to me to leave offerings to stones and whatnot. But my goal is to be as respectful in my studies and analysis as possible, and as just, because justice requires honesty. So we've got some Tibetan prayer flags. Let's see here. And these plants, they might be organized in a ritual manner around a compass, around a sun, around, it looks like the Dharma wheel, the eight spoke wheel. Got a little sparrow here. So the plants themselves might be an offering. And then, so these are the offerings. Incense. Up here, we've got a 7-headed naga, or serpent being. And then looks like people are offering water, marigolds, silk scarves. And justice demands seeing things as they really are, not as you want them to be, not jumping to conclusions based on premature data analysis and incorrect data analysis. And justice requires deep, profound honesty about our own motivations, as well as seeing things quite accurately. So you got the water tank, and you can see the water spouts, which are very typical in Kathmandu Valley. And you see, so the Naga is a human serpent hybrid, which seems to be related to a lot of the reptilian myths and the jinn myths that we see. It looks like this Naga, this may be the king of the Nagas, and he's offering, it looks like a conch shell to Guru Padmasambhava. Guru Padmasambhava is associated with the conquering of evil and the defeat of demonic entities and morals. Let me see, so we've got another votive stupa, very beautifully made. Again, a Naga is surrounding it, and it looks like a lotus throne, different layers, a number of different beings. I don't know if they're considered deities in Buddhists. Water tank all around. And then I think that maybe these are stylistic abstracts of dreadlocks, like many of the sages of various traditions that have wandered in the Himalayas have had dreadlocks. They've matted their hair up, or their hair was matted as they proceeded. Because it naturally will do that. That's our earliest ancestors didn't have scissors, didn't have razors, didn't have knives, swords, razors. And so dreadlocking and then putting matted hair up into a turban on top of the head would have been quite common. Now I know that the 8 chortens or 8 stupas has symbolic significance within the Tibetan tradition, but I'm unaware of this. They've got different, the all-victorious stupa. This stupa symbolizes the Buddha's consent to extend his life by 3 months after one of his followers had pleaded with him not to pass away. The steps of the stupa are round. Oh, so that's interesting. So it explains each one. I'll have to go and check that out because I was not aware of these. There are a number of monasteries in the Boudanath area. It's quite fascinating. Well, now I've come to a lake of water, it looks like. So perhaps I should, go back and avoid walking through all that water. So go ahead and draw this to a close, and then I'll check out the 8 stupas.